Ready Check Radio. Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Relic Grind, Ready Check Radio's Final Fantasy XIV Square Enix podcast. You're hearing that music, that must mean it's Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we're live, twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio, getting ready to talk about Final Fantasy XIV, Square Enix, and you know what? Today, let's throw in some stuff that isn't Square Enix a little bit later. We'll talk about all of it. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. As always, if you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, iTunes, any of those platforms, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. But don't forget to head on over to ReadyCheckRadio.com. Check out all the backlog of episodes of Relic Grind and Gaming Gumbo. Throw a like up there, subscribe, turn on the notifications wherever you're watching us, and make sure to follow all those socials right on the website. Joining me to go over all the fun stuff, Mr. Chris Montoya, a.k.a. Tarkoth. What's up, sir?
Greetings, programs. In the middle of spreadsheeting everything that I can do and see the most efficient way to get 57,000 tomes. So that's a good time, right? That's fun.
That's fun.
57,000 tomes. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's grind it out.
That's fun. Maybe. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Looking like he's not having fun. Adam laying the Kronos one.
I'm just tired.
That's default. That's default.
Yeah, or that. The tomes aren't so bad. Could be worse.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, because we are going to get into, obviously, patch 6.35 dropped this week. We did a little review of what was coming and what we hope to get out of some things, and if the patch was going to be enough. Like, is the time differential, the extra 2 weeks per patch, and the extra time, does this feel a little slower, a little less than what we might be used to, even for people like us that are already recognizing we're going to tear through most of the content very quickly to begin with? Is it feeling even longer? And is this good for more casual players? Is this good for the more hardcore players? Is it good for Final Fantasy XIV as a whole? I mean, 6.35, it's only been out for a couple of days. But honestly, like, you're pretty much done now, right? Like, it's just try to get a little further in the deep dungeon, or maybe use it to level up a few characters if you have no interest in getting super deep in the deep dungeon. And the Relic Grind for the Hildebrand, the Manderville weapons. Other than that, you probably already started your dailies and have been keeping up on those, and no MSQ or anything in the patch. Like, we speculated last week, Tark, this is a bit of a smaller one, and particularly if you're like an ultimate person and maybe you're already through the ultimate or you're getting ready to finish off the ultimate. I think, Kronos, you and your team are closing in on that.
Yeah, there's still a lot left, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're pretty far. Yeah.
Is this a good thing that you have this gap that Yoshi P's always said, hey, go play something else and then come back? That's the whole point. Or is the gap getting a little too big where now, yeah, something we talked about last week, Tark, could start potentially happening where people start just not coming back because the time is, you're out of it's out of your head, it's out of your daily routine or your weekly routine, and all of a sudden it becomes a little, well, I don't want to go back because now I'd have to catch up. Like, what do you think now that you've been in 6.35 a little bit?
Most of the content's just kind of fluff content to me. Like, I've never been a deep dungeon person. I've done the first 10 floors because people were like, hey, let's go do this. I'm like, sure, yeah, why not? As far as tribes, I'm still an expansion behind, and it's just crafting. So if you're not a crafter, there's nothing for you there. Yeah, and you
do have this. Well, I mean, sticking on that, you do have the splendid weapons as far as the crafting and gathering stuff too. So there is a little more crafters, gatherers content than just the tribes. Yeah.
Yeah, I did forget about that. That's why everyone's in the Crystarium. Okay, I get it now. Yeah, this is Like if I was all cut up on my jobs, and didn't have like ultimate to do, I probably would unsub. I'm not a person that would stay away because I love this game, but yeah, you nailed it. This might be the points where like these patches are so long that I might upsub and not come back until like expansion time now. So
could you actually see yourself taking like 6.4, 6.5 off? Like, let's say right now, because like all three of us are nuts about the game, right? And so those long periods of unsub, if you did unsub, wouldn't generally be that long. But could you see somebody like you runs ultimates, has progression guilds at some points in your past, would like to get into another one, and a voracious Final Fantasy XIV player to be sure? Are you kind of feeling at this point like if you did unsub 3 weeks from now, you just like, you know what? There's no point in me spending $15. I haven't booted it up for 2 weeks, and I don't even feel like I'm missing anything. That's why I don't have a problem subbing up. Are you somebody that like wouldn't immediately be back at 6.4? Could you see .4.5 going by and just saying I'll see you at the expansion?
No, because I thoroughly enjoy the raid content. Me personally, I enjoyed the raid content, so I would be back for Savage. But I can see people that don't have a vested interest in that, maybe just want to do story, let it build up. Like I feel like with Tataru's, like I'm gonna let it build up and then I'm gonna finish it all in 6.5 or 6.55 whenever they finish it up. So I can see people doing that. That's not how I play the game, but everyone has their own nuances in how they go about content.
Kronos, what are you feeling? 6.35 so far.
It's a patch.
Yeah, it definitely is a patch. I mean, because we're not the only ones in this boat.
No.
Like looking at feedback, early feedback over the last 48 hours, there's a lot of people that are kind of, maybe not feeling the best about the game right now.
Yeah, I'm still on the same. I think it's just time for them to take a break. I think, and that's fine. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely less. It's less, and it's longer in between. But I don't personally care, like hate it. I do everything in this game, so I've already probably dipped my toes in all this stuff, and I'm pretty far, and I'll probably be done with all the content relatively shortly. Other than the ultimate, obviously, that's probably still gonna run through past by the time I finish the deep dungeon. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not how it used to be. I guess it feels less, but I feel like it's been this way for a bit now. I mean, in Walker, you feel it more now because you have like the extra couple weeks. But like we've been on like the one dungeon, like half patch thing since Stormblood, middle of Stormblood, basically.
Stormblood, yeah.
So
yeah, and it's you kind of feel. I think you look forward and you go, okay, the .x5, right? In this case, .35. Like you don't expect that to be a mega patch to begin with, right? It's the .x5. It's the .3, .4, .5 that you maybe expect more meat and potatoes, but even those have felt a little less than what they have in years past. And then you look forward and you say, okay, what are some of the things that we can look forward to? Well, we're not getting any exploratory zone in this segment of patches.
right.
So some big pieces of content that we have been used to getting in the past, you might look at .635 in a vacuum and say, I don't expect it to be that big. It's a .x5 patch. But then you look forward and you go, well, there are big things that we're typically used to getting in the .3, .4, .5. We're just not getting. And we got a new deep dungeon, which is not an every patch cycle occurrence in and of itself, but it seems like it was at the expense of other things, like an exploratory zone, which I know cruising through the internet is one of like the huge things right now. Like your people, more casual players are saying that they're really feeling no Bosja or anything like that is a detraction that now we're not going to see that.
Yeah, so I guess one thing to keep in mind is we're still supposed to get 2 Criterion dungeons. That didn't exist in any other expansion. Like that's new to this. I mean, if what they said is true, we're supposed to get 2 more. I know those haven't been received particularly the best, but they can improve on them. Yeah, we know we're not getting exploratory zone, and we knew that like the deep dungeon was like kind of like swapped in. The deep dungeon plus the Criterion are kind of like in place of it.
Right.
And the funny thing is like last expansion, people were complaining like, "Oh, we don't have a deep dungeon," but we get like But I think most people Bosja was received relatively well. And I think we even said on here that like when how successful Bosja was, we were like, deep dungeon might be done. Like it might not come back.
I remember that.
But enough people wanted Deep Dungeon back, and now that we have Deep Dungeon back, you have these other people coming back out, and they're like, "Well, where's our exploratory zone?" I think it's really hard to win over everybody. It's really hard. There's always going to be someone that wants the other thing instead of the other thing, and we're never going to get everything. It's never going to happen. Like I would like a raid every patch, but they're not going to do that because
right. But when you look at the stuff that is there the risk of, or at least the risk of the perception, Tark, of everything you're putting in .3, .4, .5 caters more towards that very smaller upper percentage of people that want more difficult content, specialized content with the Criterion dungeons and deep dungeons. Yeah, deep dungeons are great for leveling alternate characters, right? But that's not the primary focus of why that's there. They didn't build that just so you had something to go level characters. It's meant to be a solo or group challenge, a very hard one. If you look at the number of people that have necromancer titles and stuff like that, that is catering towards a higher percentage or a smaller percentage of the audience. Criterion dungeons, the ultimates, the savage. Then you flip to the more casual stuff where Bosja has some types of little challenging fights, but they're generally more accessible to an audience. Are they running the risk of that perception being, hey, the more casual player might be not forefront in development here over the rest of the 6 series?
I guess so. My concern is, we had this term, we were not going to spare any expense, and that was a big Yoshi P talking point for quite a while. But we keep seeing things get pulled away and replaced. I'm like, well, if we're not going to spare an expense, why can't you do both? And I know they've had this big,
to go along. I don't want to interrupt you here, but I think this good plugs right into what you're saying. Not just the spare no expense. You constantly have the Business Creative Unit 3 working on Final Fantasy XIV and 16 doesn't impact resources at all.
Sure.
Okay. And that may legitimately be the case hours-wise and things. But again, going with what you're talking about on the perception side of things, it may not feel like they're sparing every expense. It may feel like and be perceived that, hey, dividing tasks here is hurting things.
Yeah, Yoshi P's time is limited. You only have 24 hours in a day, unless you're that story person. She's all 36 hours in a day. Yeah, he's diverting his focus into 2 different places, and we all hope 16 is great, but I've seen a lot of talk about 14 is suffering from it, and it's hard not to agree with that to an extent.
Any legitimacy to those arguments, Kronos?
I mean, I think when he says stuff like that, they're definitely like kind of lying, right? I mean, like it obviously has to affect it.
I mean,
it has to. Yeah, like you can say that it's not going to, but like he literally works on both titles. There's no way he can only work so many hours in a day. That already in and of itself affects it. I mean, they've been pulling stuff away for quite a while. When did they go to like 1 dungeon a patch? And I feel like some people complained about that. I didn't really particularly care, but I mean, that was a while ago.
Shadowbringers was the first true one.
So, I mean, I feel like we've been slowly peeling back. And I mean, part of it is too, like, this game's a mammoth of a game, right? So when you add content to it, you have to make sure everything else doesn't break, right? So like as you add these patches, you still have to make sure all the previous content's still intact. And I feel like people overlook how hard testing is sometimes. Like, I mean, they have to do that every patch cycle. And they have to test. They can't just test the new stuff. They got to test everything. So that's a lot. And the more they add on to it, the harder that becomes. And the more people you have to either hire. But I mean, he's definitely going to bite the bullet on the spare no expense thing. I can't really fight that point because he's definitely said that. And it doesn't feel that way. That's for sure. Because, like, if it was spare no expense, right, you'd have the deep dungeon and you'd have the zone, right? Like, there'd be there'd be no argument. But that's not the case. I guess like I always never assumed we were going to get both ever, and I don't think most people did.
Right.
But I think with how successful Bosnia was, I was surprised, and I kind of saw that this was probably going to happen because Bosnia does appeal to more people than a deep dungeon.
Of course.
And the deep dungeon people, I mean, that's their content. They like it, so they want more of it. Just like I'm a raider, I would love to have more raids. I'm happy with what I have, but I will never say no to more. So, but yeah, I mean, I get it. It's hard, and they're never going to be able to please everybody. But I think they probably have to try to please the most people and keep the most people playing, and that's going to be a hard balance to strike.
I don't think it helps when what you do get kind of feels like, I don't want to say phoned in, but the Relic quest is 100% phoned in.
Absolutely.
It's at least so far. Like, who knows what, one more tier this will look like. But, it was tomestones in the first patch. It was first quest for tomestones in this patch. Second quest for different tomestones. Okay. Great. And this kind of goes back to something we have talked about over and over and over again here, where the gear progression in the game just isn't great anymore. It was great for when it started, but it has outgrown. It's not fun to acquire gear in Final Fantasy XIV. It just isn't, and maybe I'm alone in that. I don't know. It just isn't. It feels more like I've got to go do this than I want to go get that new chess piece. And it's because it's always done the exact same way with the exact same processes, every single patch, every single expansion. And the only thing that was mildly different from that was the relic. And whether or not you wanted to actually grind to do the relics or not, which is what they were simply grinds of a different type. Now it has become, even the relic so far has literally just turned into yet another tombstone grind. And that doesn't feel great, at least not to me. Am I the only one here?
It's funny. So, I think a lot of people agree with you. But the funny thing is like a lot of the relics are just tombstone grinds disguised in different ways, right?
Oh, yeah. To be sure.
There was a point I think in Shadowbringers where one was just like do Labyrinth of the Ancient 30 times. And I mean, you could do that now and get tombstones, right? Like if your way of getting tombstones is do Labyrinth of the Ancient 30 times.
Yeah, but your tombstones didn't have to be specifically for that relic. That you're doing the piece of content and the rewards that you get from that content.
Right.
You can do what you want with them. But the aim of that grind was just to do that piece of content. Now you can do whatever content you want, but the rewards you get need to be focused in to this relic grind. And while I understand it for the first part, it's a buy-in. You're buying into this relic part, however much you want to invest to start for whatever number of relics you want. Okay. But beyond that, like to do this again is absolutely lazy. When I saw it, that's the word I got. It's like,
I'm not saying it's not lazy. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not lazy, but I guess what I'm saying is it's not.
Plus, it further compounds a problem the game already has.
Yeah, the gear sucks.
With the tombstone cap and your ability to successfully gear up to max levels, multiple classes with that damn tombstone cap, and now.
This is
old tombstone.
This is the older tombstone.
I understand, but it's compounding on a problem it already has.
Oh yeah, the gear is trash. I've said that a ton of times. Like the way the gear works in the game sucks. I deal with it just because the way I see it is like the gear system's not fun, and it allows them to make better content. That's kind of the way I view it. I'm not saying that's the best way to view it, but like I would rather have better content in a bad gear system than a great gear system with shit content. And if that's the trade-off, I guess, because like when you start putting more, we've seen it now. Like when they put more resources in one thing, other things are going to suffer.
Right.
So it's like, where's the trade-off? And that's just how I personally feel. I'm not saying that other people's opinions are invalid, because like they play the games for different reasons than I do, and then so their opinion's perfectly valid. I just I don't know. I think a lot of the other relic. I think a lot of people they mask it better. Like in Heavens, where you were buying items for poetics and then trading those items in for your relic progression. So you're still using the tombstone to get another item to then trade it in toward an item. it's just like an extra step that feels like it.
Right, but
Bozja
you're
felt-
but you're not factoring in things like the other portions that we've seen. And again, we're not
Oh.
completely done with this, so maybe
Right.
something else gets added here. I hope, but like the Atma or Light or like those other grinds that maybe you wanted to do or didn't want to do, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a you could go get Atma and be doing it on a lower level character to fate grind right at the same time. You could be accomplishing things. You could do the same thing with the light and dungeon running and things like this, where this is okay, I've got to be running a specific set of content. I'm probably in most cases going to want to do that on my main class or my second main class. I'm not going to really use this too much as an opportunity, besides maybe the roulette each day, to level things up or to farm other things while I'm at it. It just like, man, that felt so freaking lazy.
I mean, yeah, giving people different ways to do it is probably a good thing. And like, I guess their thought was tomestones can be gotten from a ton of stuff, so they're giving you an infinite ways to do it. But I think they missed that. Like, I don't know. It's just different when
what they missed.
people...
What they missed is that there's already a dozen other things I need to be farming tomestones for, or want to be farming tomestones for. And yeah, there might be 15, 20 different ways for me to farm tomestones, Tark. But they're the same 15 or 20 things that I was already farming for other reasons because I wanted tomestones for other things. This is just you didn't give me more options to move the quest forward. You just gave me more busy work, and this time you didn't even bother to disguise it, right? Like, it's just give us the tomestones.
They didn't put any makeup. They didn't put it in a dress or a suit. It's just get me that money. I'm struggling with, like, I need mistletoe, like infinite amount of mistletoes, and the tomestones use up all my mistletoe. So my mistletoe uses all my tomestones. So now, do I want to continue on this path? I'm feeling like I should wait. I mean, it's not even 6:35, so like, yeah, you get a couple extra materia slots, right?
That's how you know someone's doing the ultimate, right there.
Yep.
Because we're all in the same boat. Yeah, it's like we need these for our pots.
Yeah.
Not our off jobs. Yeah.
So I might not do any more Relic until 6.5 when there's no ultimate, and then that weapon will be the best to go into the expansion at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally looking at this patch as like, I don't even care about the Relic anymore. I was like, never mind. Like maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. Who cares? I'm so sporadic with the relics anyway. I do this one and then I totally skip the next one. Like, I just don't care. Maybe I'll finish this one off. Maybe I won't. But literally, it's sad that 635 came out, and within a day I was like, yeah, the only thing I'm going to be really jumping in here to do is knock those dailies out. And, if I'm not doing some night and I want to take a shot at a few more Alliance raids to get a couple of these stupid minions that never, ever drop for me or I never, ever win, maybe I'll do that. And, oh, hey, look, I got 500 tomestones. I'll go buy one of those things. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
I think Bozja is the best way to do it. Even though, like, even
Bozja,
Bozja, though, like, it was still, like, because you're doing, like, fates, and you can do, like, I think you have to give people different options to do it. And I think it really helps when you tie it into a piece of content that's, like, new and fresh. And, like, you can progress, because you could, like, do Bozja, and just by doing it, you'd accidentally get Relic stuff if you had the quest stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that's the best way to do it going forward, which is why I just thought that they would just do Bozja every expansion. Not exactly Bozja, but what Bozja is, and just kind of cut
exploratory content.
Yeah, but specifically Bozja, not Eureka.
Yeah, true.
Not that I'm saying Eureka's bad. I mean, I understand people really enjoy Eureka for a different reason, but Eureka's relic system is not good. I think the way Bozja did it is like a really good balance, and you have like a lot of other rewards. They obviously made some mistakes with like some of the 24 man or 48 man or whatever they were. Those things could have probably been fixed, but that's Yeah, but you can like iterate on that. Like that's why I was surprised more than anything, because Bozja is like just such a like that idea is such a good conduit just for doing the relic and like more casual content.
Yeah, you've got quests, you've got an alternate progression system, you've got fates, you've got bigger, almost dungeon-esque or trial-esque boss fights. Like you have all of that right there. Which, hey, you know what? You as the hardcore player, or us as the more hardcore players, we're gonna go do it because we want to get the relic grind stuff and maybe grab a couple achievements along the way, and that's cool. As a more casual person, that's fantastic on all those fronts, right? I can be doing the relic, which is maybe a little more hardcore than I normally play these types of MMOs, but I'm accidentally doing it. You know, I'm
And leveling up other jobs.
And I'm leveling up other jobs. And you know what? I really like fate, so I'm just going to fate grind. Or, okay, now this opens up another quest and a progression system, which gives me a little ability. Oh, now this whole quest has led to a cool little boss fight. You know, it just has that.
I think Bozja was like the perfect thing.
They did it really well.
It did it for like everybody. Like everybody had something to do in there. Unless you just didn't care and you didn't want to do it. But like, you know, you had something for Raiders. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I agree with you. I love that piece of content, but even if you didn't, there was still an alternate way to do the relic. You could go out and do Heaven's Ward fates, you know, fate grind that way over in Heaven's Ward, and
yeah, they were pushing us back there for trial players. Yeah.
So they were continuously, you know, you have this main piece of content, you could do the relics, but if you're not interested, there's an alternative way to do that, and this is just, as you said, phoned in. I said lazy. Is no bueno.
It's weird for a game that I love so much to just be like, I'm not feeling you right now. I'm just like really not feeling you right now, and that's weird. I think it also has to do with the fact that, like, and maybe this is another one of those just me things. Like the MSQ since the end of Endwalker just hasn't done a lick of anything for me. Like I like the whole, you know, Archfiends fights and stuff like that. But as far as like investing in a story, yeah, dude, the second that we saw the first trailer for this, we knew what this story was going to be. Like, you know, it's just, I like Zero. I'm not disappointed in the story. I'm just not invested in it. I know that this is like a filler gap. Hey, we're going to wrap this up in 2 patches because then we're off to the next expansion. Yeah, so it's just kind of like I feel less invested in the game, which is a weird thing to say about a game I pay every month to play.
I feel like when you end a 10-year story, it's pretty hard for them not.
Oh, no doubt.
It's hard for you to go from the top, you know, of your emotions down to the bottom and slowly build back up. You're like, oh,
and don't get me wrong, I enjoy the story, like Golbez and the Archfiends, stuff like that. I mean, it's hitting all the nostalgia bumps for me. I'm liking Zero. I'm liking it. It's just like it's very surface level for me, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's like, okay, yeah. I've heard this story before. I don't mind watching it again with better graphics. Let's go. You know?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I will say the deep dungeon, when you get like the deeper stuff, especially if you've done like coils and stuff, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of like nods.
So, like,
yeah. And I think it might be the best or the most fun deep dungeon. It's hard to say best. It's still early, but I think they did a lot of stuff.
Man. Oof, ouch.
What's that?
There's a lot of rough stuff. Like a lot of things that one shot you.
Oh, but, yeah, like running into the berserk ones.
Yeah, the dread beasts, I think is what they're called.
Bombs, meteors. That was just, you know, the first 10 floors. It's just.
Yeah, the first behemoth you fight has a eclectic meteor. Yeah. So.
Hey, if you want to sport some Final Fantasy gear outside of the game, though, a new partnership with Puma Sneakers gives you the Warrior of Light, Warrior of Darkness shoes. You can't see them in these shots, but the other shots that I had weren't all that they published weren't all that great. But there is the Final Fantasy XIV Meteor insignia on the back heel, and then there's another insignia on the tongue of the shoe too. So a couple different color schemes representing the Warrior of Light, Warrior of Darkness. Tark, how many of these $150 pairs of shoes will you be buying?
0. I'm a person where if I'm going to get a piece of clothing, like it's about function versus the fashion for me. So like I'm not looking at someone's shirt like looking like, oh, you have the little things on there. I'm like, oh, cool, that's so cool, man. If I were to get these, they would be in a case and just like as a trophy. And I don't want to do that with the shoe. Does that make sense?
It's a cow. Who the fuck still rocks Pumas? This ain't 1986.
I'm like, I know Unalaska wants to get like one of each pair, but like I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Kronos, can I interest you in some Warrior of Dankness Pumas?
I actually just don't like the way they look.
I don't either.
It has nothing to do with them even being Final Fantasy. I just don't like the way they look.
Yeah, the color schemes definitely aren't doing it for
me. The Warrior of Light one, the white ones look like some stuff like my grandfather would wear. Like, yeah, the Warrior Darkness ones are a little bit better, but still not great.
Yeah,
those look like what Hyde and Lou would wear if she went jogging.
They're like kids. They're like what your nurse would wear in a hospital.
Yeah,
Hyde and Emmett Selk are gonna go for a jog and they throw on their Pumas. Yeah, I'm not a fan of them either. Like even as a collector, I'm like, no, no,
yeah.
I don't need those. And oh my god, the nightmares! Look at this. Look at this.
I kind of knew this was gonna happen when they showed this emote in the patch notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evilisa,
many bunny ears.
Evilisa tweeting on Twitter saying, you know, the ear wiggle emote on the Viera is cursed.
Yes.
It does not actually. Do I not have that on loop? Yeah, I do. It does not actually loop or wiggle its own damn ears. Why is it doing that? I don't know. It'll go. It'll go. It does not wiggle its own damn ears. Ears appear and it wiggles them in front of that. It is absolutely horrendous. If you wanted more, I guess, phoned in examples, Kronos, I don't think one gets better than this.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah. I mean, they don't think about the ears and cross guards when they do half the shit they do in the game, so it's not surprising.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
how
remember
does this look on a Lalafell, and then they're like, oh, yeah.
Remember, for the longest time, it was headgear was a problem. Remember, like
it still is.
It still is to this
is.
day.
Yeah.
So that's some nightmare fuel here. Before we leave Final Fantasy XIV, according to an interview this past weekend, thank you to Yumadori0726 for some translation work here, since it took place on the Chinese news site HK01. Yoshi P, wants to get a Final Fantasy 14/16 crossover. He says, as the producer of Final Fantasy 16, of course, I really want to do a collaboration. 14 has a huge player base, and being able to bring 16 to 14 players would be ideal. But that's not a matter I can decide all on my own. I need to discuss it with the producer of 14. It just so happens that the producer and director of 14 has the surname Yoshida, so I'll check with him. If he says yes, then it might really happen. So, facetious, silly byplay aside.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the producer and director of 14 is also working on another game, so he doesn't have the time to do your crossover, okay, producer Yoshida? So, the circle there is now complete. It'll probably be phoned in crossover anyways.
Oh, no. No. That will be a great crossover because he basically said it. We want to market it to 14's huge player base. Like, that crossover will be spot on. We'll
maybe I'm just salty because I don't have FanFest tickets. Maybe that's why I'm salty still.
Oh, yeah. I suppose nobody got a surprise email or anything, huh?
No. And nobody I know got it. Not one person.
Yeah, this crossover. This crossover will tug at your heartstrings. You'll be emotionally invested. It'll have amazing quests and fights. It'll be the best because it's a commercial. So
it'll be a Final Fantasy 13 crossover. You'll get a fate.
It'll be real nice.
Really quick on the FanFest thing. I don't know if you guys saw, but I'm pretty sure it's basically confirmed that they only sent 7,500 emails. So.
Wow. I didn't see that, but I have seen scalpers already.
Yeah, so that means that basically the capacity is 15K. 2 per 7,500.
Yep.
Sag.
All right, on to other Square Enix news. We've got changes in leadership as Yosuke Matsuda is stepping down from running Square Enix. Obviously, this will have to go through like board approval and everything. It's expected to approve. There shouldn't be any problems with this going through. So, yeah, he's leaving, and proposed change will be voted for in June. And Square Enix had this to say: under the rapid change of business environment surrounding the entertainment industry, the proposed change is intended to reshape the management team with the goal of adopting ever-evolving technological innovations and maximizing on the creativity of the company's group in order to deliver even greater entertainment to its customers around the world. He'll be replaced by Takahashi Kiryu, who actually has only been part of Square for a couple of years. So started in 2020 as part of like a restructuring thing back in 2020. What they wanted to make clear, by the way, that was not changing was that, yeah, they're still going to be interested in blockchain and NFT and stuff like that. So if you thought maybe leadership change was going to move the needle on that, it's not, or is least unlikely to based on Square and other leadership's current comments. Does this change anything for you, though, Tark? The Square's had its ups and downs, and I think you could argue more downs over the last few years than ups. Let's set aside Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy XIV. If you set both of those aside, it's hard to look objectively at their business and say they've had success. Right, they've had a few good titles here, Octopath Traveler 2, a couple other titles out there that have done well. But if you took away 14 and 7 Remake, even their own financials show that, hey, HD Games is not doing great, hasn't been doing great for a while. Forspoken doesn't help things in recent stuff. Babylon's Fall, all the live service games that they've shut down within 14 months of them launching. Are we going to get any changes now? Do any of those, I don't want to say failures, but some of them were downright failures.
Or didn't meet expectations.
Their liquidation of the Western studios, which, by the way, it was Matsuda who historically had a little bit of an abrasive attitude towards those Western studios. Well, now they're gone, so the incoming president isn't going to have to worry about them. Is this going to change anything, though?
So I had two reactions. The first, when I heard this, I'm like, oh God, thank God the person that put out those 2 New Year's letters, pronouncing the virtues of NFTs is going away. And you're right. Take out those 2 games, those 2 successes, and there's not many hits, if any, from Square Enix, unfortunately. And then I saw that, oh yeah, you're doubling down basically on the new technologies, NFTs, blockchain. So I went from real high to real lows that nothing's going to get changed. I'm just wondering if they're making a change because there's opportunities that Matsuda just missed out on, like licensing out IPs like Tomb Raider to Amazon and such. And this new person that's coming in has lots of ideas of ways they can go and branch out and increase their revenue stream. And I'm hopeful, but I'm gonna hold. I'm in reservation mode. I gotta see, some games and some moves before I make any decision on that.
Yeah, and like we said, we already know that they are still going to focus on NFT and blockchain. So that is basically a foregone conclusion. That is still very much a thing. They, in fact, made sure in a separate statement to say exactly that. Kronos, does this... I can kind of see like Matsuda almost being pushed out, like hey, resign or we're going to take other action, because it just has not been good for a number of years now. And you can survive as a CEO making or a president making a bad decision here and there. But when literally you're looking at where would this company be if Yoshi P never took over Final Fantasy XIV? And the answer being probably not in a very good spot. And maybe you would argue they're not in a great spot now and still just trying to make themselves attractive for an acquisition. I don't know. Can this possibly lead to better decisions? I kind of feel like a lot of the decisions that have been made already have cast the die, and you can't take a lot of those back. You're not going to get your Western publishers back, even if you were interested in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think it really changes anything, sadly. I was under the same impression as Tark at first. I was hopeful that, like, oh, maybe this changes. Maybe they pushed them out and they're going to change their stance on NFTs. They didn't. So,
I mean, even Yoshi P said he thinks that there's tech
yeah,
that could take advantage of that stuff. He just doesn't want to put it in 14. So everybody at the top levels of SE still wants to go down that path.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know. I just nobody likes, like, almost no one likes it. It's only like executive people that I feel like that are like really pushing it. And I feel like Yoshi P is probably even a little pressured to say it, I would imagine. But I don't know. I can't know that for sure. But yeah, I don't really personally think this changes anything, sadly.
I don't think it does either. I want it to, but I don't think it does.
Yeah, I hope so too.
My other thought is, as a CEO, like, again, maybe he was missing some opportunities, or he was bristling at opportunities that were coming to him. Like, maybe he's the reason why a merger with Sony didn't happen, and this guy's going to be a little bit more open to ideas and exploring that with Sony. I don't know. Just
feels almost scapegoaty a little bit to me. Feels like
it does. Like, I would agree with you, Tark, if I thought the new person was going to bring about change. I don't think they are. I feel like it's, hey, we need a sacrificial lamb for the shareholders.
Yeah.
Guess what, buddy? It's you.
Yeah.
Turn in the resignation.
Because they're literally reading from the same script as him when they came in. That's what gets to me. It's like it would be one thing if they booted him out and then they're like, no more NFTs, we're done. But they literally are just saying the same stuff he said. So it feels like they like whispered in his ear. They're like, hey, we need to get on NFTs. And then he's like, NFTs are the best. And then they're like, kick him out. And NFTs are the best. So it's the same thing. It's like, I don't know. It's weird.
Things can't be going that badly. I mean, their financial statements recently we reviewed on the show haven't been great, but they are moving their offices now. They're going to, it'll be in 2024, November 2024. They're going to be putting themselves right in Shibuya. Right now, they've been outside, they've been in Shinjuku Ward, right?
Shinjuku, yeah.
And now they're going to be right in Shibuya. They don't know how many floors. It's a whole new complex. They're going to be in the biggest building, but they don't know how many floors they're going to take up in Block A there. And that'll be in November of 2024 when that project's completed. So, that's going to cost a little more than the old rent right now.
I mean, Final Fantasy XIV money is good.
It's definitely, It's
keeping Square Enix afloat.
Yeah.
Speaking of afloat, you know what you need to stay afloat, Kronos?
Water?
Water. You need water. I had to bring this to the show today.
Only because I brought it up to you.
Only because you brought it up to me. We all know that Tark does not even like the concept of Power Wash Simulator. And I'm going to say I did catch my daughter playing Roblox the other day, and she was playing a power washing simulator knockoff Roblox game that she's like absolutely addicted to. I just like the ding. I like the ding, ding. But, Midgar can get messy. And now, as we talked about in previous shows, you can power wash the hell out of Midgar. And I just got to say, Tark has taken some time to maybe rethink his stance on this game. He kept an open mind like he did with Theatrhythm. That one panned out.
Yeah.
So he opened up his brain and said, maybe there's something here. And he went and you watched a stream of Power Wash Simulator. And what'd you think, Tark?
My OCD just kept making me want to pick at scabs that aren't there. Like, so it was Maximilian Dude's stream of this, and he was washing, Cloud's bike from Final Fantasy VII, and
got to keep that bike clean.
All the nooks and crannies, and maybe it was just compounded by the OCD anxiety that Max was also giving off as well, but like I was like, no, just like, and I'm like seeing dirt. I'm like, no, just get in the creases. No, I was like, after 20 minutes, I was like, I'm just done. No, I just can't do this game.
I immediately get pinged after that stream, and he's like, I just watched 20 minutes of this. I will never play this game in my entire life.
Nope.
I heard it's written by Nomura. Like I heard he actually did writing for this game. It's funny. I find that hilarious.
And
For this
so
like expansion of the game.
Yeah,
The
because
whole
I
game.
guess there's like
The Midgar
voiceover
thing,
people.
yeah.
Oh
I guess
my
there's
God.
like yeah. Because I had a friend send me. It's like, what the fuck is this? And he, like sent me the link. Yeah, people don't know it's a Square game. It's funny.
I went ahead and just wrote down on my, Christmas list, exactly what I think Tark might like for Christmas. So
You know,
we'll see
the
what
funny
happens.
thing is, if someone were to give this to me, I would try it out maybe for 20 minutes and then be like, nope, I'm done.
Totally not Square Enix related, but if you missed the Capcom spotlight today, the Resident Evil 4 demo is live if you want to go check that out. Guys, I felt like we should bring a little bit of a celebration, if you will, to the show. A little bit of an anniversary. This is episode 96. I mean, we are closing in on 100 episodes of the Relic Grind, which is just incredible when you think about it. Thank you so much. Make sure you click like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. But I felt like, what would be appropriate, Kronos, to celebrate? Like, what has happened that we could celebrate the anniversary of? And then I remembered that yesterday, or 2 days ago, Tuesday, was the 1 month anniversary. It was the 1 month anniversary of the Final Fantasy stream that never happened. It was supposed to be 1 month ago, 2 days ago, that we were supposed to get the mother of all Final Fantasy reveal streams. Not only have we not seen any of those things revealed, but that stream still has not happened in any way, shape, or form, even in a truncated list versus what was supposed to be on that stream. So I think it's safe to call this one busted now. Like, if we're the Mythbusters, are we allowed to... Okay, this one's busted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hopeful, but yeah, we're busted.
I mean, they're going to do some 35th anniversary thing at some point, but
Sure.
Who knows when at this point. Okay, before we head over and end the show today, I know Kronos has wanted to maybe talk about this for a while now. He brought it up a while, months and months, maybe even like a year ago, hey, we could talk about this sometime. Since we spent so much time last week talking about turn-based RPGs and Final Fantasy XVI, and does that, feel like a Final Fantasy game, with it's not turn-based. Presumably there will be some other staples in there, right? Chocobos and the things maybe there won't be. I don't know. We'll see. We've seen what looks to be chocobos in other portions, but like Moogles and who knows, like whatever. Let's talk about a few RPGs that are our all-time favorites. So it doesn't matter what system it's on. Maybe you can play it today, maybe you can't. Doesn't matter. That aren't made by Square Enix. We give Chrono Cross a lot of love on this show. We give other Octopath and Octopath Traveler 2 a lot of love on this show. I know Tark, has been liking Voice of Cards and Project Triangle Strategy. But SE is off the board. You're not allowed. Tark, what are some of your favorite RPGs that aren't Square Enix?
Can we do pre-merger? Because it wasn't Square E, it was Square, and then
or you trying to sneak in like
It's
Breath of
trying to get
Fire or
Enix,
something?
trying to get, like, well, Breath of Fire is Capcom,
Or Dragon
right?
Quest? Well, the first one was
the
Square.
first Breath of Fire was Square with Capcom collab thing. No, I was trying
to get
in,
Secret of Mana.
No, I'm trying to sneak in Valkyrie Profile, the original.
Nope, that's
PlayStation
Square.
1.
Get out of here.
No,
Nope,
that's
pick
Enix.
something else.
It's
Nope.
literally Enix.
Nope, Square Enix. Nope, doesn't count.
Whatever. It says Enix right there.
Yep, Square Enix doesn't count.
Okay, it doesn't count. All right.
Damn good game. Though. Damn good game. I'll give you that one.
Going back to PlayStation, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Wild
so
Arms.
you're going like a little different RPG. Okay, so
Yeah, it's
I
still
get you. I get
RPG
you.
at its core.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I get you.
But
I'm
it's,
with
you
you.
know, Metroidvania. And
Yeah, wait a minute. So hold on. Actually, I don't get you. I don't know if I would count Castlevania Symphony of the Night as an RPG. The only thing that was even remotely RPG about it was gear.
You level up.
you level up.
I think
Yeah,
it
you had
counts.
to
Yeah,
get
you level up,
experience
but you have no control over your stats. Like besides gear, you don't like spend skill points and build Alucard out into your own your own role play of Alucard. Like that's it. You level up, your stats all go up, and you pick and match gear for whatever the situation. Like even the gear, the stats themselves really didn't matter. You were looking for different abilities at different times on the gear. Is this? I don't know. I gotta drop my veto on this one. But
I
Kronos,
don't know,
I'll
does
go.
chat,
What do you got, Kronos?
I'm not saying it's like a deep RPG, but I think it's
It
technically
is
an RPG.
surface level at best.
Yeah, I guess it really just depends on like where you draw the line. But like, I mean, it has elements.
It has RPG elements. Yeah, come on.
So, like, I mean, but it also has
Wild
elements
Arms.
of
I
like
kind
a
of-
platformer
yeah.
and some other things too.
I
but-
mean, like under the strictest definition, I guess like Final Fantasies themselves are true RPGs, right? Because you're not playing the role, you're playing Cloud and stuff like that. But okay, fine. It's surface level at best. We'll come back to you for another one. What do you got on your list, Kronos?
I have a long list, so I guess I'll just pick off of it. I'm gonna go deeper because I think so. Like, I'm a big like tactical RPG fan.
Yeah.
I've played probably almost every single like at least like somewhat mainstream ones. Vandal Hearts for the PlayStation 1 is probably like a personal favorite
yeah,
of
that
mine.
was that was awesome.
That I play from time to time. Not the second one really. I'm not a big fan of like anything past the first one. But the first one is probably like I still own it.
And the
It's
blood
down
squirts
here.
just
Yeah,
you know,
it's down here somewhere. I'm pretty sure I still
visceral-
own the original disc.
visceral kills was awesome.
Yeah. So like next to like Final Fantasy Tactics, that's like probably one of my favorite tactics.
On the tactics front, I got to go with yours is fantastic, and yeah, I own it. But Shining Force 2
on
on the Genesis
Yeah.
and Shining Force CD. Those are the whole Shining Force series is very good, but like if I have to just pick one or two, absolutely a great.
I would love to
tactical
have
game.
a proper tactical Shining Force again. I miss those. Those were awesome.
Yeah. Yep. We got Takao in chat saying Lost Odyssey, Grandia 2, Wild Arms, Suikoden 1 and 2, all fantastic. We've actually talked about Lost Odyssey quite a few times on this show. Both in pre-show. And then for me, like one of the big ones of obviously the Tales series, and you could like pick whichever one is your favorite from the Tales series. But I think one that's a little maybe not as recognizable as the Tales series is the actual Trials series. I love Trials. Oh yeah. The Legend of Heroes, that whole franchise, but specifically the Trials one. Like, it's a hard one to recommend to people though that haven't played any of them, because to get like the true story from the Trails series, like you got to play them all. Like,
Yeah, you got to go back to the beginning.
You got to go back to the beginning. But
series.
I absolutely love them. Go ahead, Tark.
Moving up in the world, going to PlayStation 2, Shadow Hearts.
Oh, has to be. I knew you were going to bring that.
And Dark Cloud 2. Both
Yeah,
just
Dark Cloud
amazing
1
titles.
wasn't great. They really nailed 2.
Yeah. That's what put level 5 on the map for me is Dark Cloud 2. I love that game.
Chrono?
I'll stay Sega with you. Skies of Arcadia is a pretty big one for me too.
I played that on GameCube. Yes.
Yeah,
No,
I think
you got to
most
play the
people-
Dreamcast. Yeah, the Dreamcast.
I think most people did play it on GameCube, kind of like Sonic 2. I think a lot of people played Sonic Adventure 2 on GameCube because Dreamcast was kind of dying off at the time.
Yeah, I was a Dreamcast baby on that one.
Yeah, I remember playing it on the Dreamcast. Yeah, because like you could see the ship battles on the VMU. The ships, like
Yep.
So yeah, no, I haven't actually played that one in a bit. I need to play that one again sometime soon.
I'm gonna go with the Wild Hearts series. Ever play?
Wild Hearts?
Or Thousand Arms. Thousand Arms.
Thousand Arms.
Thousand Arms.
Thousand
Thousand
Arms.
Arms. I'm thinking about Vandal Hearts. Sorry. And if I had to go like get a sneaky one in there, since you did Tark, mine would be from Square instead of from Enix, and it would probably be Xenogears.
There you
But that's like one that I would try to sneak in there that wasn't Square Enix. It was Square back in the day.
I mean, you could make
I
the
mean-
argument the rest of the Xeno series isn't Square, so yeah, why not?
Well, you have what? Xenoblade Chronicles, which is fantastic, right? All of those.
Xenosaga.
And then Xenosaga, well, none of that was Square. Yeah, all three of those PlayStation 2 games, Xenosaga. 1 and 2 were so good, and then 3 was like, what is going on? I think they were just rushed, right? They just had to we got to get this done. We got to get the
They didn't rush
wrap up
those
the story.
cutscenes. The cutscenes were long.
Right. Well, that was the thing. Like, so much of the game was
Yeah.
cutscenes. It felt like they didn't have any more time. They weren't going to get a fourth game like they maybe originally planned or something. It just felt like we're going to show you the movie, and that's it.
Pretty much,
Here's
yeah.
the movie. You got one more, Tark?
I can just do one more. Okay.
I'm
gonna have to
throw
go-
as many as you want.
I got like
this
six
is
more.
the last cycle to you, so throw them all
Okay.
up there.
So going back to my PC days, Might and Magic 6. I
Mm.
dumped 100+ hours into Might and Magic 6. It was so good. Make your own team and kind of first person, dungeon crawl, but in the open world. So it was awesome. I also loved Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. With you on the Tales series, got Symphonia. That was one of my favorites. Let's see. Gotta do some PSP love. Lunar, right? Lunar's awesome.
PSP love. What are you talking about? That's PlayStation 1. That's actually Sega CD.
Sega Saturn. Yeah, and Sega
Well, I'm
Saturn.
just
I think.
saying, I got it on the PSP, and that's where I played it. And Dragon Age Origins, that was another one I put like hundreds of hours in. It was absolutely magnificent, and I hope Dreadwolf is top notch.
I mean, we gotta nod Legend of Dragoon, right? Like we have
Oh,
to
yeah,
nod
yeah.
that one.
It's on my list, yeah.
That one kind of got
Yeah, that
generic, like 3/4 of the way through. It kind of like got very generic and just wrapped itself up. It was like, okay, we're done. Let's go. Phantasy Star series is another
Ooh,
one. If
4.
I got to pick one, 4. I'm dead with you there. If you have to go with one, you go 4. Wild Arms is another one. What about you, Kronos? Finish up your list.
Yeah, I
Obviously,
guess-
we could do a whole show about this
Oh.
sometime.
It'd
where
be
we're
a
just
lot.
Absolutely.
Like more actiony stuff, like more on the multiplayer side too, like Champions and Dark Alliance are a pretty
Yeah.
big series. I used to play a lot of X-Men Legends, if you want to count that. I think that has some
would count.
RPG
I mean, if we're
elements,
gonna
too.
fucking count Symphony of the Night.
Jesus.
Then you got like some of the more old school Fire Emblems I really dig, because that goes more into the tactical stuff. And then one I feel like a lot of people overlook that is actually really good. I don't know if you guys have played it, but Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, which was like
Yeah.
also like GameCube,
Absolutely. Yes.
also a really good RPG.
Yep.
On the purple lunchbox.
Breathfire
Purple
3.
lunchbox. It's Cal saying Nina Kuni 1. I liked 1 and 2, but for different reasons. Like 2 was very different, right? You had the city building type aspect in there too. I think I platted the second one. I didn't plat the first one though. By the way, I did get, you guys know this, but I got my Theatrhythm Platinum this past week.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I did
Yeah.
see you mentioned that.
I got my Platinum for Theatrhythm, so.
I did some Endless World. I need to build up my tunes.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do.
I've been playing on
Yes.
Supreme difficulty. That's been
Yes,
pretty
you
fun.
do.
Some of those like custom tracks are pretty tough.
Ooh.
On
like
Supreme?
this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
lowest
lowest level Supreme, I think, is what, like 11?
11.
Level
yeah.
11 out of 15?
And then there's only a
Good
couple
stuff.
15s. But
I'm proud of myself when I get a 6 down.
Yeah. If you can do 6s, there's some of like the lower like ultimates, there's some 6s and 7s. You might be able
Yeah.
to try those.
Well, he's had to clear a couple of those for different quests, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, I just stack with healers and pop, the pots, and then I just try not to
Whatever
fail
works.
He
on the
stacks
ultimate.
the entire fucking deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they're there for, right?
That's
what they're there
right.
for.
For
Let's
healers.
slide over
Let's
and
go.
do Love It or Leave It. Love It or Leave It is the way we end every episode of the Relic Grind here. I'm going to give you something Square Enix related. Could be a game, could be a feature in a game, a press release, something even tangentially related to Square Enix. And you tell me whether you love it, want more of it, leave it. I think I'm going to know where this is going to go based on our earlier conversation. But Tark, love it or leave it, a change in Square Enix leadership. Now, to be specific, I'm not saying you love or leave the person leaving or coming in. We're not talking about a specific person here. Just at this exact moment in time, do you love or leave a leadership change for Square Enix?
I'm going to leave it because I believe if you're going to have a leadership change, there should be a change in leadership, in direction that you're going, ideals or ideology. I don't think anything's actually going to change. That's where I have my reservation about this change. I think it's just going to be more of the same potentially. So in that regards, you're changing for the sake of change at that point. So I'm just leaving it.
I'm going to go with you on that one. I'm going to leave it because it's not a leadership change. It's a figurehead change. That's all that's happening here. Kronos.
Yeah, I'll just make it unanimous. It's just a scape. They're just using them as a scapegoat to me. Like, they're not changing direction at all.
Right.
So I don't really feel like anything's really changing.
That's going to do it for us here on this episode of the Relic Grind. But chat, don't go anywhere. Right after the show, we have Faye back. Yay! You're back. She's still alive. See, we promised. We promised. How are you? It's been a couple of weeks.
It has. I'm good. I am now a professional fairy, though. So
I know. I didn't tell anybody because, I didn't know how much was public while it was still training and stuff like that. But since you've said it, can you please explain to chat how you are a professional fairy?
Well, now I will go around the world, even though, yes, I am still practicing. We finish up our festival training here in another couple of weeks. But I go around providing sparkle to all of the world in the hair. So if you have at least 3 inches of hair, you should come see me at a fairy event. And
I don't know. What you got under that hat, Tark? You letting that grow in yet?
Come on,
You
Tark.
still
What
shaving?
can we do with this?
You can get there.
What can we do with this, Faye?
I at least have
Come on.
pixie dust. I at least have
Maybe-
pixie dust.
Can we
make something
maybe
happen.
maybe something on the chin here? Maybe we can do something with this chin thing.
Yes.
Come on.
We have done goatees and things before, so
it
absolutely
up.
a possibility.
I need some fairy
Dude,
life.
grow that
Let's go.
goatee in
I'm
3
down. I'm
inches,
down.
and then we gotta fairy that up. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Takal. It's a hair thing. It's a hair thing. Like you can see it in Faye's hair right now, where
Yeah,
she's got
it's sparkly hair stuff. It is Finkelpot's original fairy hair. Yes.
All right.
This-
What are we
this-
playing
this
tonight,
stuff.
Faye?
We are back in Icewind Dale because I have a date with a basement. that
Word.
I have not forgotten about.
A date with a basement. Chat, don't go anywhere. Give us a moment or two just after the show to relabel everything, and then Faye will be right back with some Icewind Dale. That's going to do it for us here today. Until next week, Kronos, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, same as always, Twitter. Pushing through the ultimate. We're on phase 5 now. So home stretch, kind of, sort of. Not really.
Kind of, sort of, almost.
Then,
more
yeah,
than me.
just, mainly just watching what's happening in the NFL offseason and playing Marvel Snap. That's pretty much it.
Tark.
Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at Tarkoth Gaming. You can catch me playing Final Fantasy XIV and a crap ton of Destiny 2. And then here on Saturday nights, Ready Check Radio, where I'm diving further and further into the fun of Final Fantasy 15. Chapter 3, let's go.
Followed by Power Wash Simulator.
Go.
Don't have the outro set correctly. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at Magic Man 1, but more importantly, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO on Twitter. And you'll know every time we go live with a podcast or stream. Until next time, gang, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers. Later.